Hey, your sword is on the beach, by the way. There, just saved you some time. Pretty sure someone in that town, someone alludes to it or tells you about it, but I missed it, so saved you some time. Legend of Zelda, not a Link to the Past, Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening for the Switch is a remake of the old Game Boy game. I never played it because I didn't have a Game Boy because, I mean, this was Sega versus Nintendo. One had to choose, and I chose.
He chose poorly.
Eat my nuts, Knight. That was a good system. Battery life, though. Whew. Point is, I never got to play Link's Awakening before on the Game Boy, so now I get to play Link's Awakening for the Switch as the remake. And Link's Awakening's awesome. It actually kind of makes me pissed that I never played it before on the Game Boy. I feel like I missed out. It is an old school top-down Legend of Zelda game with everything in there one would expect from a top-view Legend of Zelda game. And first of all, the Switch graphics are great. Everyone looks like little porcelain figures. They even have this really deep depth of field that makes everyone look small. I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed the aesthetic. I enjoyed the graphics. Most of all, I enjoyed the gameplay because, yeah, they crammed a lot of stuff into this game. I love the fact that you have two buttons you can put items in, so you can have two items equipped at the same time, essentially. Here's how it's gonna work out. You're gonna have the feather always equipped because you always want your jump. Then the other button can be whatever you want. A couple times early game, I was kind of lost, so, you know, YouTube like, oh, what's this thing? Because like I said, it's old school Zelda. It's not always, it doesn't always point you in the direct path. There's these little phone booths and trees, and you pick up the phone, you get a tip kind of aiming you in the direction. Sometimes they're vague as shit though. Anyhow, point is, when searching for a couple of keys to get into the dungeons, went on YouTube, but the game had been out for like 6 hours, so there wasn't a lot of Switch gameplay, so I just looked at Game Boy gameplay, and it was very applicable to the Switch. We're talking dungeon construction, creatures. It just makes the Game Boy version all that more impressive. But I will say, now I have to say this, now that I said the first part, to my shame, I went on YouTube. After that, I was like, all right, I'm not gonna do that anymore. That's the part of Zelda, is you gotta figure it out. You gotta be in the world and just adventure and figure it out. And if you do that, this is a Zelda experience the likes of which your parents only talked about. You know what I mean? There's something very specific about that where it's like, go adventure. You might be there for a day trying to figure out this thing, and once you've pushed every block and you've used every item, and then finally you'll figure it out. Like there's this one dungeon with it's a big stupid iron ball that you have to carry around. I was like, what's this thing for? And I accidentally figured out because I just accidentally did a thing at the right time. I accidentally stumbled across the answer. That's so Zelda. There's no other way to say that. So if you can resist going online looking for tips, it makes it all the more worth it. This game is great. It's like a Link Between Worlds. I actually heard this was going to come out for the 3DS after a Link Between Worlds, and they kind of pushed everything to the Switch, and they're like, all right, it's going to come out for the Switch now. But a Link Between Worlds and now Link's Awakening, it shows me why I love Zelda 1 and A Link to the Past so much. Because Zelda 1 and A Link to the Past, I have played countless times, even till recently. I just recently played Zelda. I recently played A Link to the Past for the Switch because you can play the Super Nintendo games on the Switch now if you have the online service. Recently maxed it out 100% because I know that game inside out and backwards. But this is like that feeling of A Link to the Past with me not actually knowing anything. Even with A Link Between Worlds, it's the same general basic construction of A Link to the Past. So if you know A Link to the Past, you kind of know A Link Between Worlds to an extent, a large extent. But this completely new, overhead, old school Zelda game for me. And those are my favorites because I love the 3D Zelda games, but as much as I love them after I play them and while I'm playing them, they're enormous. They're so enormous, I don't go back to them. Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword. I played those once. I loved them, but played them once. Breath of the Wild, I did play twice, like back to back. Played it, beat it, played it, beat it. But Zelda 1 and A Link to the Past, I've played so many times. And this is a game on par with that. Like now that I've beaten it, there's enough endgame stuff to do. It doesn't have to be endgame, but you gotta find these little seashells and heart container pieces. I'm missing 3 heart containers, which is 12 heart container pieces, which is kind of baffling to me because I feel like I've explored everything, but obviously I haven't. So I gotta go back and do that, and I want to go back and do that. And after I go back and do that, I'll play through this game again. It took me 2 days to beat. It's not a long game. When I say old school Zelda, I mean it. But long game doesn't necessarily mean great game or vice versa. Like a game's enjoyment isn't necessarily linked to how long it is. I mean, you want your money's worth, sure. But I can think of plenty of long games that are just that. They're long games. Some games are too short and you feel like you overpaid, but Link's Awakening, I don't feel that way. I feel completely fulfilled. I got my Zelda fix. Whether you're a fan of the Game Boy game and you're returning to the world in some nostalgia bomb, you know, for the remake, or it's your first time playing Link's Awakening on any platform whatsoever, you're gonna have fun with this. I mean, if you're a Zelda fan. You don't like Zelda games, you might not. But as a Zelda fan, I'm smiling. Because Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening is awesome-tacular. Alright, so Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, the remake for the Switch. Have you played it? What did you think about it? Or have you played the original on Game Boy? What did you think of that? How do they compare? Whatever you think, comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right here to see more.